just started tonight. Tell me, what are you doing? What do you hope to do with this? Because there's going to be one here. There was one tonight. A couple of weeks there's going to be one, and then Westlake is going to get the whole thing over again, right?
Well, it's kind of a dual purpose. First of all, we want to introduce storytelling to people, and we want to tell them about the collection in Franklin County where they can find stories. But secondly, we want to help them improve their storytelling, encourage them to go out and collect stories.
So why is this important? I mean, you think today, oh gosh, we can record everything with a phone.
I think
or something.
it's more important just because so many people are tied to their electronic devices that we don't listen to the stories that people have. So I think it's very important that children make contact with parents and grandparents, and then grandparents make contact with children and get them off of their electronic devices. Because if you see somebody telling a story, you get a feeling. Not only do you hear the words, but you get a sense of the happenings of that story.
So what is the most interesting, odd, or surprising story that you picked up over the years? Can you think of something?
I promised never to tell a woman's name, but I picked up a witch story out of Redwood about a woman that if you crossed her, she'd witch your cow and it wouldn't give milk again. But I was sworn to secrecy. I don't know if the witch was still living or not, but the lady swore me to secrecy from the story. I think that was one of the most unusual. I picked up. And then I was really lucky. Raymond Sloan used to be the WPA folklore collector for Franklin County. And he told me a jacktail, Jack and his lump of silver. And I think that's the only jacktail, I think, east of the Blue Ridge Mountains.
So you did a little Jack Tales tonight, too.
Yes, we did.
So how did that come about? Because you've got some people who used to be, I think,
right,
involved with the group, because it's pretty much not an ongoing thing anymore, or?
Well, no, it is. But everybody has real jobs and everything now, so we work together when we can work together. But yeah, we still do the folk tales that we used to do, and then we have some that are more oriented towards storytelling, where maybe just three of us, and it's more real story theater.
Okay, because you also were doing a little music too in there.
Oh, yeah.
Snuck that in there.
Yeah.
So who's collecting ballads, and where do they find those things?
Well, there's a lot of ballads in the Blue Ridge Institute, and there's a lot of ballads in Cecil Sharp's work. He published 2 volumes of songs, and the largest number in Virginia came from St. Peter's out of Callaway. So there's still lots of ballads around.
How do these stories change over the years, or do they? I mean, if they're passed down generation to generation, it's got to be molded or changed or something by the time it gets...
you take Jack and the Beanstalk. Mm-hmm. Okay, after it was in the mountains a while, it became Jack and the Bean Tree. And then Jack didn't steal a golden goose, but he stole a skinning knife and a rifle gun, which is things they really needed to survive. So they adapted it to fit their own environment and their own culture. It would be ridiculous to... I remember... One time I had a group of kids and I asked them to do this thing about a subway, and none of them had ever been on a subway or seen a subway.
What is that?
And, yeah, right. So it was awful. Whereas if you did the same thing in New York, the kids would be great.
There'd be some horrible stories on the subway.
That's true. So that's, I guess, the storyteller naturally began to adapt the stories.
Oh, okay.
And they were told in the mountains a lot too to make it work a lot. In other words, the family would be sitting around their fire, they'd be shucking corn or something, and grandfather would tell a story to make the work easier.
Oh, right, okay. And then the kids maybe later on tell their kids,
right,
and just went on and on. Is there any of these stories you can trace really back, many generations?
Well, you can trace them back to, like Soldier Jack that we tell is the Grimm's tale, Grandfather Death. Jack and the Beanstalk became Jack and the Bean Tree. So a lot of these are strictly English stories, or Scotch, Irish, or German that they adapted to fit their own environment.
Can anyone learn to tell a story?
Oh yeah. Yeah. One of the first things to do, and one of the things we were working on tonight, is listening. You have to be a good listener, and you have to read your audience.
Well, I saw that one gentleman who did the story about the Dipper. I was like, that was
Oh, yeah.
Quite interesting.
Yeah, he didn't need any help.
No,
He was fine.
I love that. So, what do you hope to do? I mean, you're retired basically, right? Or,
Right.
but I miss that so much. The things going on at Ferrum College in the theater and whatever. Just
Yeah, well,
wish somebody
the
would take
idea
up
is
on
just to
that.
keep the stories alive. You know, perform for kids. We probably have 8 or 9 shows scheduled for this spring because we've been on a 2-year layoff because of the
oh,
pandemic.
right, nothing.
So it's great to get the kids involved with the stories and hopefully, talk them into reading Mr. Chase's book.
What do you think would be lost if we didn't do this? It seems like, I don't know, there'd be a whole something.
Well, I do. I think if we gave the world over to all electronic devices, we would lose the human contact.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you.
Christina, thank you.
So I think you lose the human touch. And I know that the next meeting that we're going to have, I'm going to start off with a family story of my own about the day my grandfather got fired by Henry Ford personally.
Oh,
So, those kind of things, are set in a place of history. Mm-hmm. And we know the history. And hopefully I can make them understand how my grandfather was.
I wonder how that story will change over the years.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah. My kids will tell it differently.